Hello, YouTube. So this is going to be book reviews with Josh, and today I'm going to do a book review of Lolita. If you don't know who or what Lolita the book is, then you can go suck a stack of dicks. So I decided to pick it up because I knew all about the story. I knew all about the movies. You know, everyone knows kind of because it's a classic what it's about. But it was one of those classics that everyone's like, oh yeah, Lolita, oh yeah. But I've never actually read it or seen the movie. So I figured I'd actually pick up the book and read it. So basically, if you have no idea what Lolita is, it's about a guy who's sexually attracted to girls between the age of 9 and 14 because there's a sort of kind of allure about them. They have a kind of an aura which says, come take me, but at the same time I'm young and innocent and I will approve of you. And so it's kind of about the psychology of why this guy is, it's like a confession of how the guy basically fell in love with this young 12-year-old girl. It's really interesting because I think by the second chapter I already had him diagnosed psychologically. Basically, his first love he ever had, he had when he was about 13, and because of that he's completely romanticized all women, and the feelings that come with the first love. Because, you know, remember when you first had a boyfriend, talking to internet people, never mind. So basically, when you're really young and you have a girlfriend, it's like for the first time, it's like, and like you're feeling all these things, and it's like magic and sparks, and like, it's very romantic, and it feels like you're in a movie because it's happening for the first time. Basically, he's romanticized that, and he's taken that, and he's placed it right on the young girls. Because it's different. Like, when adults have relationships, you know, it's not as like dramatic and swaying and flowing of the hair and shit like that. It's more just like, hey, you want to bang? And it's like, yeah, support me financially. Oh, I believe in you. Oh, let's have a good conversation. Okay, boink, done. But like for like young girls and young boys at that age, it's like, ooh, forbidden and new, and I don't know, but we could be together, and I love you, and oh, my body's changing, and all sorts of stuff. So basically, this guy he started to do sexual things with this girl at the age of 13 because they were young and they were in love, and so they were both, you know, young and in love and having that first romantic thing. She dies of disease. He romanticizes basically that first time, and so he then takes all his kind of sexuality and his libido and his desires and his urges and his sensualness, and he basically places it all on girls that age. And because of that, he basically goes his entire life trying to basically have sexual encounters with girls of a certain aura, which kind of, I guess, give him that sensation. And so he gets married, and then his wife cheats on him, and then he goes to America, and then he was going to stay with his family, but their house burns down, so he has to stay with his other single mom, and she's very obnoxious, and she's got like, she's not very high class, and he's very high class, Mr. French literary guy. But their daughter, I mean her daughter, Dolores Lolita, is a little nymphet, and so he's all like, and then next thing you know, he's all like, hey bitch, I'm gonna marry you so I can, your daughter, and she has no idea, so she's like, oh, I love you. And then he's all like, bitch, I'm gonna kill you. And then she finds out about how he's madly in love with her daughter, and she's like, oh, you're a monster. And then she gets to buy a car, and then he's like, ha, the stars are aligning, it's all perfect for me. And then he runs off with Lolita, and she basically is not as innocent as she appears. And actually, that's kind of the one thing about the book which actually really stuck with me, is that a lot of people think that kids that age are like innocent and they're naive and they don't know better. Yeah, basically, actually, the 12-year-old girl pretty much almost seduces and sleeps with him. So it's kind of the opposite way around instead of the predator and the prey. I mean, still, it's obviously his fault because he's kind of trying to make this happen, and it's all kind of like a subconscious thing. Anyway, so they travel all around, and she grows older, and it's a whole big hoopla. And I won't tell you the rest of the story because it basically centers around the fact of basically pedophilia and the whole kind of psychological implications of older men, pubescent, not legal girls. And so it's interesting from a psychological point of perspective because I was able to read and go, oh, this is like Freud, and oh, this is like Jung, and oh, what did Schneider say about anyway. And so it was, that was fun for me. But at the same time, okay, so Russian authors, who are really good, and they have such beautiful language, and Dostoevsky and Nabokov and so many other ones, Tolstoy and Chekhov, and they're so great. But basically what they do is they have a lot of words, a lot of words, and so you get like halfway through the book and you just want to die because you're like, okay. And they put in a lot of detail, which is great in small bits. But like there was one chapter and it was like 16 pages of just like him describing how her hair was like it was just painful. Don't do it. So I suffered through Lolita. It was a good book and it's very psychologically challenging, and I really like kind of seeing a different perspective and reading about characters, and it was really interesting and good, and so I would recommend it. And I gave it, I was going to give it 8 out of 10 stars, but because it is literally just a big dents in the middle, and you're just like, okay, get to the point, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Good book, classic, read it. The only thing was I picked up the copy of the book, and so I guess Jeremy Irons did the movie with here's another thing. In the movie, the girl's like 17, which she is at the end of the book, but like she wasn't 12, and they tried to do that for shock value, so the whole kind of him having sex with her was acceptable, but like really she was 12, so she was a lot younger, so the movie was kind of like it's not as shock value as really what the book was trying to say. But yeah, no, good book. Read it. Classic. I read it because it was a classic and it was something that I knew about and I didn't know properly, and so yeah, I read it. It was good. It has a lot of triggery stuff. I mean, there's no actual like, and then I put my penis in her vagina, and I was like, No, it's not like that. It's a very lush Russian literature, so there's a lot of artsy. It's implied, and what happens, but it's all very implied and colorful language. So it's not just like So good book, read it. And that was Lolita. And it took me to finish, but it was good. So if you have the patience to just get through the stale bits, then by all means pick up the book, because it's a good book. It's a really good book. That's actually unfortunately that's a lot of the classics. It's a lot of work to get to the nuggets of beauty and yes and oh my god, that's powerful and artistic and beautiful, and I suddenly get what he's trying to say. But because of that, a lot of people are kind of turned off from them, and so they won't pick up the book and actually read. I admit there were times when I was like, why am I doing this to myself? But stick with it and it'll be good. Wow, that was exhausting. I pretty much rambled there for a bit, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go do Silent Hill because that's what I'm supposed to do. Because that's what everyone cares about. Fuck you, Josh, and your books. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Alright, so that was Lolita. Love me. Love me like a 12-year-old girl. I'm pretty. No, I'm not. Yeah, so I'm gonna finish my noodles. And I shall do another book review about Mortal Coil later, but it was a pretty shit book, so I might put that off and do Silent Hill first, so, yeah.